So let's talk about the Russian coup.
Well, let me just see if I've got the right video. I have. The Russian coup is absolutely fascinating. Now, let me just give you some. I don't remember the guy's name, but we know who we're talking about. And we know exactly there was a revolution or an attempted coup, right? So think about it this way. The battalion that was involved in this particular coup is made up of mercenaries. So they're basically all ex-military people from former Soviet countries or former Russian-speaking countries are still current. They're basically Russians, but they're not in the army anymore. They've got a little bit older, or they've done their service, they've retired, and they've gone off and had their own career moves. So this general has been quoted as being very close to Putin's ear has decided that they're going to have a coup. So what happens? How long does it take Putin to get this coup under control? It takes him 24 hours. I don't think there was any bloodshed. There was maybe a few broken bones and noses, but there was no big shootouts. There was no big military operations. He just moved in and kind of took over the city of Rostov. And then a deal was cut. And then he decides, okay, I move to Belarus. Now, Belarus is a former Soviet country. They all speak Russian there too. The Belarusian president has turned down NATO several times, telling him to get stuff. We're not doing it. And he's been actually out to China to visit the Chinese president a number of times. And he's been back a number of times. And also he's pretty good friends with Putin too. So that's the setup. We've got a highly advanced, highly trained force of Russian-speaking soldiers that were previously serving in the Ukraine and various other conflicts for Russia. Then all of a sudden they decided, we've had enough of this. We're going to go to Moscow. And in 24 hours, they've all stopped it, turned around, and gone to live in Belarus. Does that sound like a coup to you?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. That sounds like a strategic military operation again. And here's where it gets interesting. I hope this video is lined up, Nick, because I created this. I saw it on another channel. And what I did was tweak it so people can understand it. And this is the important part of this. And I'm going to put it up here. Now, I made this really simple so you get what's going on. Here we go. Let's share this now. I hope it works.
Following up from some announcements earlier this year, during the department's regular oversight of our execution of Presidential Drawdown Authority for Ukraine, we discovered inconsistencies in equipment valuation for Ukraine for a combined total of $6.2 billion. These valuation errors in no way limit or restricted the size of any of our PDAs or impacted the provision of support to Ukraine.
Do you get it? Now, what's happened is the CIA stole $6.2 billion. They gave it to fund this uprising in Russia. They knew this money was coming. They then said, okay, let's make this look really convincing. Let's start moving all the tanks around and getting all the people. And we knew that we know that the mainstream media from the West is going to get on it saying Russia under attack. Putin's got a coup. They're going to force him out. They're going into Moscow next. They're taking his strategic stronghold. But what happened was, as soon as they got the 6.2 billion, they said, now boys, we're all in this together. They're all Russian buddies. They're all comrades. So basically, it's one of the biggest bank heists and a double crossing tricksters. And it's fantastic because all of the money that was taken from Russia during these restrictions on the trade, which actually did them a lot of good in the end. Now the $6.2 billion gone missing from Washington, and it's being paid straight to these guys who are old friends and old buddies. The Russians are not going to turn on the Russians. And now they're really trying to backpedal because they know they've been double crossed. They've walked straight into a trap. The mainstream media have bought straight into it, and they've been spoon feeding the public saying, there's a Russian coup coming. In less than 24 hours, without anybody getting murdered or any cities being bombed, the guy says, tell you what, I'll go back to Belarus. It's nice. It's the summertime. I'll have a few cocktails. I'll have some strawberries and cream, and everybody's happy. Come on, man. Use your brains, folks.
So where do you think they stole the money from?
The money came from the US have already told us that it was an accountancy discretion. Basically, they said, oh, we only accounted on it from being, how did they word it again? They're saying it's what it cost to not what it's worth. So, okay, it cost us $500 to make it, but we sold it, for less than that. They've done it the other way around. The value of it was more than what they sold it for. So the 6.2, but they've overpaid by $6.2 billion. Mm-hmm. And it's the same amount that was involved in all of that shenanigans with the Russian coup. So they've all just taken the money. The deal was struck with the CIA to pay them $6.2 billion if they do a coup. And they basically said, okay, well, send us the money. And then they've said, we've changed our minds. What are you going to do? There's nothing they can do. Mm. So it was an ingenious little move because it's probably cleaned out the last little bit of change that the deep state have probably got. And it's exposed them all. And it's shown exactly how Putin kept his mouth shut. He just said, yes, we will not respond very nicely. We'll respond very harshly to this attempted coup. There's no way you get rid of an attempted coup without firing a shot in 24 hours. Absolutely impossible.
I think they're really losing the power now, the deep state. What do you think?
Absolutely, mate. I mean, every week there's just something else is even more pathetic than the week before, where they're attempting to make us convinced that there's something else big coming and we should really be concerned about it. I mean, again, I'm going to play you one other video, Nick. This is a video. I don't know whether we get through 3 minutes or not. Let's see how it goes. Because again, the average citizen sitting on the sofa, what do they know? And this is what's important in this particular case, because what do the Americans know? What's going on? What's the average American know about Russia? And this is a housewife from somewhere. I don't know if she's a housewife, but you see what I mean? Listen to what she has to say.
News about the whole Russia coup attempt by the Wagner Group. Now, if you don't know who the Wagner Group is and how long they've been fighting for Russia and the history of it, I suggest that you look into it. I don't have the time right now to explain everything, but I will tell you pieces of kind of clues that I'm seeing about this entire thing being set up. So we have the Wagner Group that has been pro-Russia, paid by Russia, for many, many years. They fought in many different countries for the Russians. And all of a sudden that they're claiming that Russia threw a missile at them and now they're headed towards Moscow. They apparently have already taken over Rostov, which is the military headquarters for Russia, and no one's stopping them. That should be your first red flag. I don't know if you've ever seen real coup attempts in other countries, but the minute it starts, the military gets involved and the people are pushed back because it's a legitimate coup attempt. This seems all theatrics. One, we have $6.2 billion that have gone missing for aid in the Ukraine that has been found. And literally right after it's been found, we've got the Wagner Group turning its back on Russia, as if in this theatrical play that they've already set out to be. Now, I don't know if people understand this, but these large companies and the 13 families have been funding both sides of the war in every war. Like you name it, World War I, World War II, the Bosnian War that I was in, like I'm from Bosnia, I was in that. And what people don't understand is once everything calms down, the people who have gone through the war start to realize that they were just being used as pawns to basically wreck a country so that the foreign entities can come in and buy out your entire country, your resources and everything, and install their banks into your country, which is exactly what's happening in the Ukraine right now. And I'm going to show you this article of what Project Veritas basically exposed about BlackRock openly stating that wars are profitable for them. So let me show you. So basically, Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe basically filmed somebody stating that works for BlackRock that the Ukraine conflict is effing good for business. Now, what people don't seem to understand is if they're funding both sides of the war, that means both sides are on the same page and they're just theatrically telling us that they're not. And why do I say that? Well, according to news sources, the Russians have now bombed their own fuel sources that apparently the Wagner Group has taken control over. Do you know what that means? That means oil and gas prices will be skyrocketing. In that article that I showed you, it also states that with the Ukraine conflict, food prices have gone up. This is basically them just creating more issues that then we will have to pay for. So those of you cheering on either side or whatever, you're basically cheering on a conflict that was created by them and they're all on the same side. So why are we fighting against two sides we take?
Absolutely. She's 100% right.
She's bang on. I love these videos, Nick, because I love these average Joe videos, I call them, where you'll find a citizen in the US or Canada that'll just get on the sofa and get on the phone and get on TikTok. And it shows you that people are understanding now. We didn't have that 18 months ago, but now we do. People can see through this bullshit. And it's really encouraging for us in the field out there in the front lines that are fighting to get the truth out by monitoring all of these different channels, stories, and distractions. It's always a distraction, guys. Wherever you're listening from, whenever you put on the mainstream media, if they're telling you to look over here, don't ignore that and look the other way. Whatever they're telling you is a distraction. It's a lie. They want you to be illusioned by a hand puppet that's dancing around.